Good afternoon. Going out of town again, those road games are tough, and I think for the most part, I think a lot of it was our defensive transition. I think both teams, between Troy, and I know Jay really enjoys watching them play, and I don't really enjoy I don't enjoy coaching against them because they can really, really score. But our defensive transition had a little bit of, tough time to go out and cover. They shot the ball pretty good, and it's just one of those things. We thought we were prepared, and it just kept coming at you. We made a run at the end of the game to get it close, and actually took the lead, and then then they come back on a run. So it's just tough to guard. And I thought they shot the ball well, and I thought our kids played hard. We played with a lot of effort, and that's what at this time of the year, that's what you're kind of looking for. I know we didn't finish, but it was a good game. And then you get against South Al, and South Al's playing pretty good. They got an inside game, and they shot 50% from the field, and it just made it tough for us to guard. And our defensive transition, I thought a lot of times we were a little bit confused on whether to cover out or not, and we gave up too many layups, especially at the end of the game. But going into this week is a big week. I know we can't finish second right now, but third would be important for us. I think just simply for the matchup, and who we would play when we make it into the finals. And so we'll wait and see what happens. There's a log jam, I know, from eighth all the way to third. Really, just kind of who's going to make it in and where you match up. And it's this time of the year is where you got to show up and play. It's so simple to me, but we're ready to go. This week will be a good week for us because it's senior night on Saturday, and we got some great kids that. I think Kiki Veal will be second leading scorer in the history of this program before it's over with. And I probably was her best defense the first 2 years when I didn't play her that much, because of some of the things that went on. But we made her a better player, and I'm gonna tell you what, this last month has been a pleasure to coach her. So that's what we want. We're here to make kids grow. And it is inevitable. There's going to be change, and it's your option if you're going to grow. And she grew, and we're excited about that. Any questions?
Do you treat this week sort of kind of like the postseason because it's such a log jam and that third spot really is very important as far as matchups and seeding are concerned?
We tried to actually start to treat the last three games. I told the kids, when we went into to South Al that we're going to treat this like the start of the tournament, just to see how we fare, and see if we can win three in a row like that, and then hopefully try to, at that point, finish third. And so, yeah, this week is important. I mean, we got to get 2 wins this week. We're at home against some opponents that we match up pretty good. So, yeah, I mean, we're treating this week like we're getting ready, continuing to get ready and see if we can grow and get some more consistency on our defensive side.
How do you go about that? How do you change, I guess, the mindset of getting towards those postseason type
Well, I think the kids help to change it. When you have Kiki Veal being more vocal today at practice, and Kia Wilridge always being pretty much, I think they feel, and that's what's so good about those two kids and Adrian Prejean is, to me, when we always get toward the end and our backs a little bit against the wall, and we can see the light. I think that's a hard thing with those kids is when you're going into conference play, it's so long that they don't see the light, and so we go up and down. So I always thought it'd be tough for us to win the league. But to win a conference tournament, I don't think it's that tough because you can kind of see the light, and I think that's what they see. They see, hey, this is it. Once we get into the tournament, you lose a game, we're done, And we've got invited to the WBI. We're already an automatic bid to the but that's not really our focus. We really like to get into the NCAA tournament. And I think the NIT is going to be pretty tough to get into because I think they take the second place team. But we really want to focus on it, and I think they're the type of kids that when they can see the light at the end of the tunnel and it's there, they go get it, and you're going to see a lot of effort. It's going to be a lot of our tournament games are going to be really fun to cover, I think, because they're going to go hard. And I saw it today. We had a short practice, and they're just showing up. They know, and they're trying to bring everybody else on. The younger kids and all that. They were it was easy practice for coaches today because they were on them and they got going and they got them going. And to me, that's some of the best things that happen at the end of the year is if everybody buys in. And that's what we're going to need every person to buy into what we're doing to win. It's hard to have Kiki on offense and Kia on defense and try to win like that. We've got to do some more things.
Coach, is it kind of been a continual challenge for you to try to get some things done offensively since you've had to make the change and the suspension? Because like that at times you still got you still got one or two guys right there, but finding that third person to give you beyond Kiki and beyond,
Yeah, when you lose those points, I think it is. So we had to make some changes. But I honestly think that we're hurt a little bit more defensively. I think Jay was really good, or finally, after 2 years in her third year, was really good at defensive transition. And she's so coachable kid that, man, we could get her to do some things to help Kia more than anything on the backside, rebound. We scout. I mean, we took a number this weekend, and we on some rebounds, there was 30 non-block outs on rebounds, and that's pretty big. And, that's one of the things that she had bought into. She would really, she'd get 4 or 5 rebounds a game. And, we just hadn't had anybody from the guard position kind of do those things. So, yeah, we lost a little bit, but at the same time, it's an opportunity for somebody else to grow from that change. So we'll see, and I think it's fun to see it coming from the kids now. It's a growth process, and I really like the seniors and where they're at right now and how they have a sense of urgency, and let's see if we can get it done.
Taylor had a big game Thursday. Do you kind of see her as maybe being, maybe not an X factor, because obviously it's going to be with Tia and Kiki, but a player that can make a difference this week and next?
Yeah, we did. I thought she shot the ball well that game, and defensively we still struggled from some of the things that she did. And we were, just because you're making threes doesn't mean give you an excuse from not defending. And so we were on her, and the next day in practice she really showed up. I was like really surprised, and we need that consistency from her in wanting to guard and how we want to guard. And I think it just takes time, and her being the first year that she's with us, and she had a hamstring pull that she missed 3 weeks, and that hurt her, and so she's kind of coming back. And, I think conditioning, you ask about defensive transition and all. I think that conditioning is the most important thing at this time of the year. It comes in from the weight room and all that. We kind of miss some of that. Sometimes our sport gets pushed aside because somebody else leaves in the weight room and all that, and that's what happened. We wasn't lifting anymore. We wasn't doing what we were supposed to do, and, we find that out, and then all of a sudden, man, I'm looking at some of the kids, and they're not looking at its tone, and they're not looking at, and so, no excuses, but it's kind of what happened, and so we regrouped, and we got it going again. But, it's just a mental process that we got to get through and fight, keep on fighting. It's fun.
These seniors will be your first class from start to finish. What has this group kind of meant to you personally, professionally, otherwise?
Yeah, it's meant a lot. For them, we signed Kia and Kiki when I was at McNeese because they were coming because we were there, and then for them to switch over and believe in McNeese's program just came out in NCAA and almost beat Kentucky. We won the conference tournament. Things were rolling over there. For them to come over here with us and believe that we could really, I think you had won 4 games that year, and for them to, switch over, that's pretty big. That's, showing a lot of confidence in the coaching staff that we could change it. So, we owe a lot to them, and then Kiki Veal, she's just as talented as a player we've had at UL. Other than Kim Parrott, I don't know if we've had a kid as talented as her. And so that's exciting, for us to be able to get a kid like that. And then Kia Will just brings so much to the table. She's underappreciated. I know that from the standpoint of people watching her, but from coaching, I know how much she meant to the program. Andrea Prejean too, for her to come over and give us what she has. She maybe not a big time scorer, but defensively she fits into good what we do. And then Brooke Arsenault was on her 10th year. I don't know, she's been here forever, and she was here already, and for her to buy into our changing of things is good. So it's they mean a lot. I think any time you start, in your first 4 years, it's a cycle. A lot of people think, well, you replace next year and next year and next year, but I think you go in cycles. Stephanie Lotief said that the other day. It's hard for people to understand, but you're going to have your 4-year cycle, and then you kind of start back over with some newer and maybe even sometimes better players, and hopefully better players than you can develop. So there've been some really good players. It's been a challenge, but it's been, I told Kia that this morning. I met with her, and I felt that she helped me to grow as a coach. Anytime you can do that from a player standpoint, it's great. I learned a lot of great things coaching her and the way to handle certain situations. So it's been a great experience for me. I'm excited that I had this opportunity to coach such good young ladies, and Kia's going to end up being a doctor or a physical therapist or something someday. So you know, their success is still going to come. Kiki got a chance to play overseas, maybe a little bit and stuff, so that's going to be good to see. We hadn't had that in a while in the program coming out of UL. So there's so many positive things, you know. And Brooklyn's graduated already, and so, you know, I just got to help her kind of find a way in what direction she's going to go to, and that's kind of part of our mission in life. You know, it comes more than just the wins and losses. It's how, you know, these kids leave you, and I think they never leave you. I really don't. I think they'll be a part of my life forever.
You had against South Alabama, I think y'all had 5 assists. Is this, as far as that group working together offensively, is that a good point for you to remind them, don't pound the ball into the ground too much, keep it moving, and we have to kind of work together as offensively?
Yeah, I think it's a big point of what we're trying to do. I mean, maybe one of our weaknesses. I know over the years, the last 4 years that I've been here, it's not been one of our strengths. You know, us assisting. You know, we do like to dribble a lot. We dribble drive and pitch and stuff like that. And that's kind of, we stand a little bit around a lot, and that's kind of one of our weaknesses. But, you know, that was part of practice today was that, you know, trying to get, you know, to quit watching, you know, especially watching Kiki Veal. You know, she's so talented, and sometimes we get caught up watching her just dribble all the ball around and try to create something. So, yeah, I think it's important, you know, especially going into the tournament, that we get more people involved on the offense. You know, Coach Katz and Coach Deacon are in charge of the offense, and they do a good job of trying to get everybody involved. But, you know, at the same time, you know, you have certain skilled people that's what they do. You know, they spend a lot more time and work on the offensive side. So you try to utilize their skills and their strengths and as best as you can.
Those things kind of came together in the tournament last year. You beat Troy, and then you go right down to the wire. Do you kind of feel like some things are at the same point, like you're, as far as you trying to put everything together, like it was kind of last season?
Oh, there's no doubt. You know, I feel confident that you know, we have as good a chance as anybody to win the tournament. You know, I mean, there's you know, you're looking at 4 or 5 teams that have that same opportunity, and you know, it's the first year that we go into it with as much experience too. I think experience counts when you get to this level, and you know, Little Rock's playing really good right now. They're always kind of scary in the tournament, and Coach Foley always finds a way to play really good in it. And I think that's, you know, it's kind of our forte too, is, you know, getting a tournament, and you know, you can get on a little run, and you know, just got to finish. You know, it's going to be some of the things that during the league that we, you know, especially the last 10 games, we didn't finish as well as we did at the beginning of the season, and it kind of woke us up. It's good that it happened. We've learned from it. Can we regroup right now and finish games, you know? And I think we got the right, you know, mentality right now to get that done.
Coach, more impressive to you, the way Kiki Veal's creating offensively, consistently, game in and game out, or the way she's challenging her teammates and becoming more?
I think for me, it's phenomenal to see what she's saying now, you know, and the way she's saying it. It's very impressive, you know, for her to, because she's a pretty shy girl, you know. She kind of keeps it to herself, and you know, she's you know, it's just kind of not been one of her strengths. But I'm noticing, and you know, it's kind of like when Merrill Lynch speaks, everybody listens, you know. When Kiki Veal speaks the last couple of weeks, it's starting to make a difference, you know, and I like it, you know. Even with the referees, you know, I'm excited, you know. She's challenging them too, you know, to get on their game, and that's what I like, you know. And so we'll see what's going to happen. You know, I think leadership is starting to come out, because she's going to need to be able to play at the next level. You know, she's going to need that to be able to fight through at the next level.
Coach, you've been talking about transition defense for a while. This 2 teams this weekend in Georgia, and then who you might foresee playing in the tournament. Is that going to be a bigger problem or a bit less of an issue with the teams that you're looking for the next 3 or 4 games?
Well, I mean, it just depends who we end up in the tournament with. You know, I mean, Troy is always going to be a problem on defensive transition, because they really, I mean, they can, you know, I mean, they must have scored 20 points against us on made baskets, when we made baskets, you know. And, you know, defensive transition kind of starts with turnovers, you know. It's like we were averaging about 9 turnovers a game at the beginning of the season until about 10 games ago, and now we're up into 17, 18 turnovers. And that creates a big problem for defensive transition. And so we got to, you know, as we talked about it today, we got to take care of the ball and do a better job of not turning it over so we can have a chance to guard 5-on-5, you know. 30% of all scores are just scored in the half court. 70% are scored in transition in anybody's game, especially on the women's side. So I think it's going to be extremely important that.
The two Georgia teams and, say, Little Rock.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Georgia teams, you know, especially Georgia State, they'll push it a little bit more and they try to get up and down. Georgia Southern's more a half court type game, you know, team and stuff like that. So, you know, it's going to be a great opportunity to continue to work on it. And I felt that we got better at it. Just we went against two teams that were really good at offensive transition, and you know, they took advantage, especially Troy. You know, that's just what they do. You know, they want to play offense. They want to push. I mean, I say they score 70%. They probably scored 90% off of offensive transition. They just continue to. I mean, Jay witnessed that it just doesn't stop. And then you take South Alabama's a little bit more of a half-court team, but they shot the ball so well that we were trying to sprint back and cover out, and you know, we got put out of position, and you know, it's just it made it tough to guard. You know, when they're making shots like that.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, thank y'all guys.